good. Well, thank you all for attempting this. We'll give it a shot. We'll go by the agenda unless anyone has an addition or correction. I know Mark's online, so I thought I would put him in before we get into the district reports.
Okay.
And if there's anyone else that needs to chime in, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. We have an agenda. We have a quorum. We need approval of the April 14th minutes, both executive and regular meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as distributed.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor signify by saying yes when I call your name. Otis. Darren.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Wendy.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
And Buzz.
Yes.
Now, is that everybody? Okay, motion passed. Okay, treasurer's report.
Okay, I think everyone has at least should have received the treasurer's reports for both the end of March and the end of April. Things are pretty much rolling along for those. Nothing unusual. So I would like to just go ahead and make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report for audit for the month ending March 31st. Is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Again, I'll call for your vote. All those in favor? Otis? Did we lose Otis?
Let's see. Otis,
Okay,
can you
let's
hear
go.
us? His screen is frozen at this time, so he's probably having some lagging issues.
Okay, that's very good. I lag a lot too. Darren?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Buzz?
Yes.
Okay. Although,
Okay.
well, we approve it as for audit. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have the one, the treasurer's report for the month ending April 30th. I make a motion that we approve for audit, that treasurer's report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, by Bobby. Again, we'll vote roll call. Otis? Darren?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Buzz?
Yes.
All right, very good. Approved. Now we'll move on. Mark, if you'd like to give us a DCR report. I have your paper in front of me.
Mark, I do have your report that I can share on the screen for those to kind of follow along with you. Mark, are you there?
All right, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
we
cool.
got the moment.
All right. Well, I will not belabor you with reviewing the past 2 or 3 months worth of written reports. And I'll just address a few items and keep it short and sweet. In the current May report, if anyone is unfamiliar with Clyde Crispin's April 14 letter, let me or your staff know. It does contain some waivers to the grant deliverables, and this is very important for directors to be aware of this. it will certainly affect my assessment this summer. In that regard, I do want to report that as of today, the district has obligated roughly 95% of its FY20 allocation, and that is fantastic.
Yeah.
That y'all were short last year, and that prompted a performance improvement plan and a call to address the State Board's Audit Review Subcommittee. And this response is, again, just fantastic. Hats off to your staff in these difficult times of getting that money obligated. Of course, there's a lot of budget uncertainty. Be aware that as far as I know, I believe the General Assembly is going to reconvene in August and take a look at all the budget numbers once again. At this juncture, I've been told by our higher-ups that the FY21 funding is solid. But as you may know, since the governor has not signed on the FY21 budget, the State Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow, today's the 19th, tomorrow, has been postponed. And until they take their action at a public meeting, DCR is unable to craft the actual grants and send them out to the districts. But I hope that's just a technicality at this point. With that said, we have no reason at this point to think that we will not have anything other than a $35 million cost share program with operational funding being solid for the districts. But again, General Assembly will be meeting again in August, so we'll see. The FY22 year, the second year of a biennium, that is fraught with tremendous uncertainty, but we have some reason for optimism for the fiscal year that starts in July.
Okay, great.
Unless there are any other questions, I'll let things stand as you can read through the report.
Okay, any questions or comments for Mark?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mark. The only thing we're missing is when you speak, all I get is the sound of a phone receiver.
Oh dear. Hey, you didn't miss anything, Rick.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send us pictures so we can put it up when you're speaking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. I too want to comment on the DEQ report, only in that there's several items that are familiar to us, but the last one is the one I wanted to talk about for the Section 319 funding, and just for the staff to, I'm sure they're aware of, but be alert. It'd be the last item listed in the report in front of you, to see where, if there's funding we can take advantage of. The other's good information. Any questions or comments on any other district partner? We good? All right,
Yeah.
Let's move on with our agenda then. And is Otis unfrozen? We still don't have Otis. Okay, is our damn man on? Can he lead us through this?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
If you can see the agenda, if you would go down that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. With Hearthstone, that's pretty much done. We have our final walkthrough tomorrow at 10 a.m. Jim's finally got the gate installed and it's sealed up. We went and checked it. Let's see. It's kind of hard to see the agenda. Let's see. We're going to start mowing the third week in July. they finalized the RFP, should be put out for advertising this week for Inch Branch. Let's see. The core samples from previous drilling, we have about 100 boxes that are stored up in the county warehouse, and we're going to dispose of them. I think Josh and John are going to take some of them. We'll be left with a bunch of boxes. I was going to take them to the landfill, but I think it'll be better if somebody takes them. I'll have to rent a trailer for that. Let's see. I'm going to start spraying first week in June. Let's see. This past inspections with Lake Wilda, they had some issues in the spillway, and Simon Kinsinger's going to do the repairs for us. We're just going to provide them with specs for the job. The Stony Creek project's been pushed back for the fall. It wouldn't be ideal right now because camping season's getting ready to start up, so we'll get that going in the fall. That's pretty much all that's going on right now. Major stuff, like I said, Hearthstone's the big one. If anybody wants to come out tomorrow, we'll be there at 10 on site. So that's all I have for dams.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Hey.
I think I saw Otis moving. Hi, Otis.
I'm having troubles. It keeps dropping out occasionally. I have to go back and reboot everything. So thank you, Michael, for doing that.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything you want to add, Otis?
No, sir.
All right, excellent. Y'all don't have anything that needs, any motion that needs to be brought forward?
I'm not aware of.
No.
But there's a note on the agenda that says annual drill.
Yeah, that's for the EAPs. We normally meet at the county building. I'm just basically going to send an email out to all the partner agencies to update the contact information. I got the okay from DCR to do it via email, so that should be coming out this week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mark. All right. Let's move on down then to Wendy, Finance and Legislative.
Okay, budget planning for this coming year. I emailed back and forth with Kathy. Looks like we will get together next week. She'll finish doing some of the pre-work on it. We'll sit down next week and actually, I think, sort of finalize it, or at least to where it can then be presented to the board. So that's where we stand with that.
Okay, very good. All right. Move on down to personnel, Wendy. I see some additional items.
Personnel.
Well, let her up, girl.
We're not going to let Kathy retire. No, I'm just kidding. So, help, my list is gone. Rachel.
There she is. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, so we'll start at the top for the list that Rachel's displayed. The reopening plan, we've gone back and forth some with that. Almost at this point, I know John's here. Let's see, employee participation. John, you want to talk about, should I just let you kind of talk about that and where it kind of stands as far as what you think is workable and what the latest rendition is? Have I lost him?
Yeah, this is what happens when you work at home.
I see John has movement on his screen. I think he,
Yeah, I've got it. I think you can hear me now.
yes.
Yes.
You should be
Yes.
able to
Gotcha.
see the plan. If there's a part you need me to scroll to, John or Wendy, please just let me know.
Okay.
I still have the agenda on the screen, but mine's lagging behind too a little bit. The reopening plan, as you read down through it, you'll see I have used a lot of the county's plan and how they set things up. Our phases for reopening would be changing when the county's phases reopen. We won't be following their guidelines exactly because we have separate circumstances. We not only have to wait until they reopen the government center, but before we can allow clients in, we have to wait until USDA opens for public access as well, because we share the hallway, the kitchen, and the bathrooms. So we're sort of co-located. So the hybrid plan, it takes in CDC guidelines, it takes in what the state is doing, what the county is doing, but it mirrors the county and borrows from their plan heavily because they are the ones closest to us. They are our landlords. And so the phases will change with their phases. There was some concerns expressed about some of the vehicle ideas. So there is an amendment to take care of that, which I guess Rachel can put up if she needs to. But it would give more options for how to share rides. Currently, we were attempting to take separate vehicles. Sometimes that wasn't done, but we're trying to share rides between the employees in our work vehicles some way safely. And so there were some options that were came up after some concerns were expressed about the original.
Hey, John?
Yes.
So this is Wendy. So with, for instance, the part I'm looking at right now is Headwaters Phase 1 begins county Phase 1. And where it does say then that the staff may travel 2 per vehicle as long as each wear a face mask and all sanitizing protocols are followed. I would say maybe that should be changed just to say as long as the vehicle safety amendment, is followed, because that kind of addresses the specifics with the face mask or alternatives. And I think that's maybe if we just insert that in here.
Okay, I can change that at each of the phases that if they travel 2 per vehicle, as long as they follow one of the vehicle policies in the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Anyone else have any comments on the proposed reopening vehicle safety amendment?
I just want to make one comment in general with the reopening, that I think this is good because it lays out a lot of specifics rather than people being a little unsure. Like John said, it can fluctuate some because the timing and as the county maybe dictates what they're going to do. If that shifts, we would need to shift, etc. And so I would just say that my recommendation in general is that we continue until there's really no need to do the social distancing, and I think that's spelled out. And the mask is not a cure-all, and some people get a sense of false security by using any sort of mask. But I think where you're able to and etc., it protects you and it protects our clients, so the clients know that we care about them. So that's, from my background working in a sterile environment and microbiological, I think, and this is just as a side thing, I think the way it's written is good. It's just that, we need to wear masks because it does mean that we respect the people we're around, and whether they feel like it's necessary or not, when we can wear the mask, definitely to do so. It doesn't take care of anything that might be sprayed or thrown into the atmosphere, but it does help some. And so That's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, is this a process we need to have a motion and vote on?
Should we?
Okay,
Yes,
can we
I
just
think
adopt
so.
the policy?
I do have one question with regards to folks returning to the office.
Okay,
I was just wondering, are the same people coming on the same day with each other? Basically, are they coming like 3 folks who are working in the office at a time? Is it the same 3 people coming in together? One thing that we could do to potentially limit, if say one of them did get sick so the whole office doesn't get sick, is the folks who share a day, they share their work days in the office with each other and kind of no one else. So that way, if someone does get sick, they're not spreading to everyone. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it does in my head right now. But not the best at explaining it.
No. So help me, Buzz. Explain it just a little bit more, because I think I didn't catch part of it.
So if we got like 3 people coming into the office per day, I think what we should do is have it, all right, if those 3 people are coming in on a certain day, those 3 people come in together as when they come in for their respective work days in the office, it's those 3 members on one, and then others come in on another day. That way, if someone does end up catching this thing down the road, the maximum risk that we're looking at for staff members is the 3 in any group that are coming in on any given day.
Is
yeah,
that,
so the same team would be available each time they meet.
Right. So
Okay.
essentially they come in teams or pods or, groups, instead of like kind of intermingling more until this thing has passed completely.
that'll be a year or more.
Yeah.
John, is that feasible?
Yes, when I make up the schedule, I will use that team approach. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good comment. Wendy, we do recognize your expertise in this area, and so anytime you've got something to throw in would be great.
I will. I tend to be fairly opinionated, but hey, I try to be flexible and I try to be reasonable, and so there was some back and forth, and I've had discussions with other people too, as far as a variety of things that folks are trying to do, or so who knows? Who knows? I think it's just a matter, we do the best we can. So
Right. I did want to relate to y'all that F&M Bank sent an email out on their policies, and basically it says they've been operating through drive-through only. Lobbies have been and remain available by appointment if they require an in-person, and that's all that was sent out. So I like simple. This thing seems like a lot of things, but that's okay if we got to go with it.
yeah, Citibank's doing the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so do we need to then, Kathy, were you saying, do we need to maybe do a motion on what do we say, implementing this policy with the one thing that I could think of, the incorporation of the vehicle safety policy?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Do we need to talk about the vehicle safety policy then before we actually do that?
I think it was up earlier. I don't know how many people may have seen it.
Right.
It's up now. So
Okay.
I guess if that's
part of the first motion that's incorporated in. I think it would be all right just to have the one motion.
Okay. Has everyone seen this? Was it sent out this morning?
Yes.
Yes.
I had a question about this is Michael, the office plan. So is it going to be mandatory that we wear masks in our 8 hours at the office, even when you're not around anybody? Because I honestly have a hard time wearing those things, and if I'm not around anybody, I really don't see. I understand when there's a client present or another staff member in close proximity. I just want to be sure if we're making this mandatory or if this is going to be optional. What's the deal with that?
The way John has it written, as far as what I see, is that it's preferred that they utilize face mask when you're in 6 foot proximity of other staff. So
Okay.
I'd say it's preferred. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one then.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah.
Of a client. Yeah. So I think it's, but that, Michael, I would, 6 foot is, if you're standing next to someone at the copier, I just wait till they're away from the copier.
Right. Some common sense.
Talk to them from more than 6 feet away, because I don't like wearing a mask either. It makes it a little harder to breathe. Period. So I think that when you're within 6 feet, going by this, it just says it's preferred that if you're within 6 feet. So it doesn't say it's mandatory with this new reiteration. So I think you go by that and just, if I'm sitting at my desk or whatever, no, I wouldn't have a face mask on. I don't think it says that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because I was unsure, but I agree with wearing them when you're around somebody, or especially clients, but I do have a hard time wearing those things.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, the floor is open for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept this is the May 18th edition of the Headwaters Work Reopening Plan with the incorporation of the vehicle safety procedure, vehicle ride share safety plan as far as when they need to ride together.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. Again, we'll vote by roll call. All in favor? Otis?
Yes.
Darren?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Buzz?
Yes.
All right. The motion has been passed.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
This Mark, if I may ask a question of Wendy regarding some personnel matters. Have you been able to conduct personnel evaluations, a review of personnel policy, et cetera, et cetera? It's one of the deliverables in the operating grant agreement that has not been waived.
No. When do we need to have that done by?
June 30th.
Okay.
So just a review of personnel policy and position descriptions and, of course, personnel evaluations.
Okay.
That might be something that I guess would be normally delegated to your committee, but I don't know that for a fact.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. Well, just
Thanks,
don't
Mark.
forget that. Don't forget that deliverable.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So next we have the employee protocol. So that's the one, the Headwaters coronavirus employee protocols. That's generally just as far as being responsible, trying to be very, careful as far as how you cover yourself, coughing, sneezing, etc., and notifying folks when you are sick, etc. So I'm assuming, to me, it seems fine. So this is maybe something we need to take a vote on.
If I could add, the reopening plan refers to following the protocols, so we need to spell out the protocols somewhere. So
Gotcha.
that's, the source of these is one of the other conservation districts, along with the CDC checklist and some other things that were found on the internet. But these are the plan refers to protocols, and it just need to be spelled out a little more clearly what those protocols were.
Okay.
All right. Floor is open.
I make a motion that we approve the Headwaters coronavirus employee protocols.
Second.
Okay, motion second. We will take a roll call just to make sure the noes have a chance. When I call your name, say either yes or no. Otis. How about Darren?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Buzz?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes for the protocol. Okay, next issue, Wendy.
Remote participation policy. So there is a remote participation policy. I think this, from what John said, and maybe he can clarify, is that this was, initially the wording is in case someone couldn't actually be in a meeting or something, so electronically. Because I was asking him, as far as, to me, the wording was a little funny, just because if all of us are doing it remotely. But I think it generally spells out kind of the basics. So, John, you want to add to that?
This is something that grew out of the meeting that Rick asked me to participate in from the Administration Operations Subcommittee for the association. And one of the districts had, their members were not capable at that time of meeting electronically. They had a quorum in the office around a phone and had some people call in. And the question was, those people who called in, could they participate? Because it was not an electronic meeting. You had a quorum assembled in one location. And I think the general consensus was, unless you have a participation policy that allows people to participate remotely, those members could not vote. And it doesn't have anything to do with electronic meetings. Electronic meetings are only during the emergency. As soon as the governor lifts the emergency, we have to go back to the old way of having a meeting.
Okay.
You have to have a quorum assembled in one location. But there could be an older member who decides that the governor lifted that too soon. They still would like to participate. And this, is my understanding, would allow the participation at that point. It doesn't really pertain to the electronic meeting as such. But
Okay.
if Mark was on the conference call, he could clarify and correct me, because what was said was Thomas Jefferson had already gone through a whole lot of stuff, I think back and forth with the OAG's office, and had come up with this, and it was good. So they were sharing it. So that's why we're doing this. But Mark can add, if he was, I think he probably was on that same committee meeting.
John, I was not a participant in that conference call, but what you described sounds familiar to me. I'm not reviewing FOIA code right now, but what you described does sound familiar. That is, that the public body needs to have a policy to allow one of its members or one or more to participate, i.e. vote remotely when there is a physical quorum. So that sounds good.
That committee
All right.
meeting, I'm sorry, Rick.
Yeah,
That
go
committee
ahead, John.
meeting was actually quite informative and beneficial to set in on, glad I had the opportunity.
Okay, are we ready to vote? We need a motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the remote participation policy as presented.
Second.
Okay, again, we'll do a roll call, yay or nay? Well, yes or no. Otis.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Aaron. Yeah, we got you, Otis. Thank you.
Okay, I had to plug in a microphone, so the picture's frozen. The cell phone died. So
That's what happens when you live on a mountain. That's what happens, Otis. It's
there
okay.
you go.
All right, Darren,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and Buzz.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. What's next, Wendy?
I don't know. I need the list. Oh,
It's
yeah.
coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah. We need to, let's see, electronic meetings. Well, the electronic meetings, I guess, is what we're doing currently. And I guess as long as we have this state of emergency or whatever, we can do electronic meetings as far as communicating. So I don't know how much more we need should be said about that.
I don't need to hear any more. Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
All right.
So then we have to have permission to hire to replace Kathy? Yes, okay.
Let's
I
go
think
back.
we should just tell her not to go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Wendy.
It would be a lot simpler.
I think maybe that was, John could speak to it, but I think his thought was we don't have to have a district board meeting in order to approve whoever is hired. Is that right, John?
Let me get unmuted here. Yes, because I don't know how soon it will be, but rather than taking the nominee or the top candidate back to the board, the personnel committee could just flat out hire.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's been in the past because the whole board doesn't have to approve us hiring somebody. Just the personnel.
Agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just a statement of what's going to
Okay.
happen. You know, the personnel committee has that responsibility.
Okay.
I just wanted to reiterate that I think the retirement date through the counties with August 1st, but my last working day would be July 15th.
Yeah, I invited her to come to the beach because that's where I'm going to be on July 15th, all things hopeful. But she didn't, she said it wasn't close to Dollywood. She wasn't coming. Anyway,
Okay.
we're tickled for Matthew. We do have, now, do we need to back up and do any kind of motion for electronic meetings? We did the remote participation policy.
Well, that's what I was wondering as far as with the electronic meetings, or is that just a matter of part of what has to be done during this essentially state of emergency because of coronavirus, period? So I don't know.
I thought we covered it in the parking lot.
You know, I hope we did. Why don't we just try with our understanding? Hey, we're having an electronic meeting, right? So apparently we're following some kind of protocol. All right, let's move on then. Kathy is retiring. She told us about that. We asked for a revised job description and then announcement to see if we can hire someone as quickly as possible so she'll have some training time with them, whoever that person is. Is there anything else? How's the job? From what I saw, the revised job description is pretty well finished. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rachel, were you putting that together essentially?
Right now, I just have the drafts I can post if they need to be looked at. Just give me 1 second. There is an announcement page that is separate from the job description. So
Oh, yes, that's right. So the job description, I think, pretty much stuck as far as, because it was fairly inclusive. I mean, it had a lot of detail, I think so. And then the announcement.
yeah, what you're seeing now would be the announcement that would be posted on any job boards, our website. Obviously, the full job description would be attached to that in any job applications, but this would be the main thing that future employees and applicants would see.
Okay.
Okay, I see the date there is June 1st. So has this been posted or not been posted?
It has not been posted. There is just a draft.
Okay. So it needs to get in the network pretty quickly. Right?
Yeah, just waiting on us, I guess.
Okay. I think
Sorry.
go ahead.
I think a salary range was put in. Well, it says starting salary. There'd been different emails back and forth with those numbers. So you just might want to make sure that that's the way you want it.
I do know that Rachel had shared one from, how do you pronounce it? Monacan or whatever.
Monacan. They are located in Monacan. So
What's wrong with you people in Virginia? No, Monacan. And I think the salary there, Rachel, is it correct that it was actually a little bit less?
I think it was the mid 30s to that 45,000 is the upper.
And that's what on the edge of Richmond area, isn't it? Sort of like.
That's it. Their address is Goochland.
Goochland. So, I mean, we could list a lower starting salary, and then just depending on the person's skills or whatever. I mean, I don't know how people feel about that. You know, I mean, because it's just, you know, we'll be there, and higher salary is negotiable with desired experience. So, period.
Yeah, I think I'd changed the 55,000 to 50.
So maybe 40 to 50.
Yeah.
This is Judy. Just want to say that Monacan may be on the edge of Richmond, but it is a very rural soil and water conservation district.
Okay. Okay.
So it's between Charlottesville and Richmond.
Okay. So
that is a factor there as well.
Okay.
Hi, Judy. I didn't know you were on. Okay. I don't think we need a motion for this. Let's just give the personnel committee permission to go for it.
I'd say so.
With those changes. Okay. With those changes.
Hey, Rick, this is Bobby. I'm not on the personnel committee, but I would like an opportunity to help with the hiring process, if possible. Reviewing applicants or sitting with interviews. if possible.
That's fine with me.
You're talking, yeah, the committee chair says fine with her, so yes, sir, Bobby, you go right ahead.
All right, thank you, Wendy. Just let me know, send me an email if you want my opinion or help on something.
Okay, thanks, Bobby.
Do you want me to be in on the interviews? Whatever y'all think.
I think that would be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have to, I'm just thinking about the protocols and the social distancing. I don't know how will that play into the interviews and the committee meeting.
Personally, I'm thinking, so the conference room that's there by y'all's offices, I think depending on how many people we have, I think we can spread out and wear masks.
Okay.
And see how tolerant the person is. And you know, we can take a look at that. Maybe next week when I'm over there, we can get the tape measure out and we'll mark some stuff up, sort of, and kind of look at how many could we fit in there. Because I mean, I always like the thing of a face-to-face. It's easy. It's easier. It's just period. So if we can do it with a small amount of people, you know, then I'd say we do that. If not, you know, it may be that we have one a follow-up interview or something like that with a bigger group if we wanted, or something like that. So
okay,
just my thought.
I would suggest that we go ahead and add another week to the June 1st deadline. I mean, this was a draft. You just put something in there to fill the void but being that this is the 19th, you may want to give them another week to get an application in.
That's fine with me. It gives us, then we want to have limited time, because especially if they were in another job, as far as giving them notice, that's assuming that, but to be able to make a shift, because I would, you know, really like to have some overlap with Kathy, and Kathy being gone middle of July. So I mean, but you're right, that's hardly any time at all till June 1st, so that's hardly reasonable in a way. So I'd say I'm good with adding an additional week, and then we just have to hop right on it.
Okay, any other comments? All right, so the committee will get that out ASAP.
Okay.
All right.
Rick, excuse me,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I just, if I could, wanted to thank everyone for the expressions of sympathy that came to me as a result of my mom's passing, and thank you all so much for the beautiful flowers and for the phone calls and the cards. I just can't tell you how much that meant.
Well, that's great, Kathy, and we will continue to prop each other up all the way through this process.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready to move on? Have you finished, Wendy?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Let's go with education. Whoever wants to take the lead.
I believe Jim was on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Jim.
Hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Well, first of all, compliments to Rachel for putting this together. I mean, she's like the grand controller with switchboards, about the only person who has control over Rich's ability to speak, and just press a button and you can make it happen.
Amen.
So don't take it too seriously. As you can see from the, there was a agenda provided, the new normal dictates that much of the education activities have been canceled. Youth conservation camp, Envirothon, excuse me, underground classroom, and there's something in the wind that maybe Rachel can expand upon a little bit. At some level, she may be presented from presenting the underground classroom thing next year, and she'll talk about that a little bit. I'm not sure it's been resolved. The highlight is, and I appreciate the work of the scholarship selection committee. We did have a candidate that we sent forward, a young man by the name of Sam Hadacek, GPA of 3.8, Eagle Scout, and very strong references. That his application and nomination has been sent forward to the state for their consideration. The other two candidates, Michael Clayton, placed second, and a young lady by the name of Logan Lott placed third. I'd like to say a few words about her in just a little bit. The only thing left outstanding is there's an issue that I think y'all need to discuss in this forum about a request that the underground trailer that we loaned it for fair. Now, is it the Augusta Fair or Rockingham Fair, Rachel?
We're already scheduled, as long as fairs are still on,
Okay.
to go to the, previously we had been scheduled to go to the Augusta County Fair, and then a request came in this week for Rockingham County Fair.
Okay. Which wouldn't be an unusual request, but it's to borrow the trailer with the stipulation that it would be unmonitored, and the quid pro quo of being unmonitored by staff is, or unaccompanied by staff, is that we wouldn't be charged a fee for the exhibit. I've commented on it. John has had some input to the notion of it being unmonitored, and we can talk about that in a little bit. Rachel, you want to do that now with?
Sure, that's fine. We received a request from somebody from Extension that is working with the Rockingham County Fair in an educational area that they have. Then the underground classroom is one thing they wanted to bring. However, their email was worded as they would like to borrow or / use the trailer. And to me, I interpret that wording as borrow, as in we come and pick it up from your parking lot. And to me, that's not what our program was intended to be. So when I saw that request, I forwarded on to Jim and John for their consideration. I also know that we are going free of charge to Augusta County Fair this year. So I did not know if that is something, with Extension being one of our partners, and a lot of those kids and families we would have saw this spring hopefully might be attending the Rockingham County Fair this year. I did not know if, since going into an educational area, if that is something that you all would want to waive the fee on, or if you still want to have the fee. That is, that's all your call.
My initial thought is that we and our supporters and donors have a significant investment in both capital and intellectual development in that in the trailer, and I think with that investment comes the expectation that we would be good stewards. We've already had experience that even in a well-monitored situation, little hands being what they are, and perhaps even teen hands being what they are, rabbit's ears get broken and things happen. So I wouldn't be in favor of an unsupervised by Headwaters staff of a loan of the trailer for some period of time. I expect it to be 3-4 days, maybe as much as a week. And I just put that on the table and be interested to see what you all think.
To me, the guidelines for Augusta, if Rockingham is in the same ballpark, should be the same. And if we can get an agreement with Rockingham for the first year, as we do with Augusta, I would love to see it go up there. But I'm like Jim, this is a baby we don't want to turn loose yet to just anybody.
Now, I would volunteer for a shift, you know, if it would be something that we could put a number of folks together to, you know, take 4 hours during the course of the fair, but I don't know how long they want to borrow it.
They're wanting it for the whole week of the fair, which should be, if I have my dates right, August 17th through August 22nd.
And time of opening, we could assume would be noon till dark.
I think weekdays it's more of an evening thing, and then an all-day thing on Saturday. I've never personally been to the Rockingham County Fair, so I can't vouch for how busy it is during the day.
It's busy.
And then so this would be staff and any volunteers we have. We would have 2-week commitments to fairs. So we would have Augusta County Fair and Rockingham County Fair. So that's just something to bear in mind, that staff will need to, you know, I'm only a one-man show, and that's 2 whole weeks of my life that would not be existing in the evenings if it was just me doing all of those days.
Well, I think we can work on that length of time too, in terms of some relief. But y'all want to think about it for a while, and then
Honestly,
or have you thought long enough?
I think everybody ought to, or you know, a bunch of the directors could take some shifts too. No, Rachel shouldn't be doing it all.
No, I agree. Yeah, I'd be willing to step up.
How do your volunteer, your volunteer corps coming, Rachel? You expanded on that, or has the absence of being in the office?
Well, we notified them. We had 2 that have already been to events before. I believe there's 3 or 4 names that have actually officially signed up. But since they signed up, we have not had events to be able to even meet with them or show them the trailer and that sort of stuff, so to speak.
Okay.
But, you know, they obviously, I do know one of them is a teacher, and probably, I don't know if fair evenings would work for them, but they obviously would be called upon to help with these large events as well.
I mean, for a week, it would take a major commitment. For 2 weeks, it would take major commitments of staff and volunteer time.
But I'm fine with Rick's suggestion of treating Rockingham County Fair equal to Augusta County Fair in the same sort of agreement for this first year.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, sort of.
Especially, you know, this year we're hopeful fairs will happen, but there's been some fairs that already have called and canceled. So.
Okay.
If I could add, your attendance at the Rockingham County Fair ranges, depending on the weather, of course, and what the act is in the grandstand, is anywhere from 5,000 to a little over 10,000 per night. And of course, they have themes every night. So Wednesday is always discounts on rides and youth. So you would need to open a little earlier. Thursdays is always the older people's day. So a lot of activities start about noon for them because they leave before dark. So there's going to be a little bit of changing to what your schedule would be, but it is a huge outreach activity. If they have good weather, it's 5,000 to 10,000 every night for 6 nights.
Yeah, and my current plan was to not take any additional activities to Rockingham County Fair currently. You know, if we get to the point where we can exchange items and a kid could make a soil tool, my idea was to set up activities at Augusta County Fair. but Rockingham County with their larger attendance would probably not be able to happen.
I have a feeling they probably won't be that busy this year if they open.
I don't know, there might be a lot of people that want to get out and get out. So,
Yeah. Let's see how negotiations go. My input would be, they have their show and sell. There's a lot of agriculture people, all the FFA students and advisors are posted to be there almost every night. So I think we can branch out and get some support to look after the classroom. I too, when I saw the one at West Virginia State Fair, the only activity was walking through the classroom. They didn't have the sideshows going on. So I would take that, and maybe conversation with some of those people would be good too, Rachel, for the do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
What you do when you have a big crowd.
Okay, well, I get consensuses that we'll participate and figure out the details as we go. Correct?
Yep, I will proceed kind of with the conversation that we will offer the same, 1 year kind of deal to Rockingham County Fair. It would seem like it would go through extension for them. So
Somebody, that me? All right, I'd like to editorialize just a little bit about the scholarship activity this year. We had a Logan Lott scored third, so academically not the strongest candidate. And if unfortunately our activity in scholarships is not a needs-based, and if it was, every once in a while you get one that really tugs at your heart, if you know what I'm saying. This young lady would be #1 candidate on the basis of need, if it was a need-based thing, but it's not. But just a comment, she has, this is my personal comments that I put on the application, or background information. I don't like to assign numbers unless I kind of record some rationale. But she has a life experience and a social maturity beyond her years. I found the information provided by her references to be informative and insightful. She works full-time. She contributes to paying bills in her household. She is helping raise a 5- and a 6-year-old sibling. And she's having to balance all that with her educational, extracurricular work, and her social activities. And I'd like to, not being a voting director, I would like to put it before the board if somebody could sponsor maybe some financial assistance for this young lady, because it's really she's smart, but she also has a significant financial need. So, Rachel, you want to add anything? Any of the other board members? Wendy, you recall the candidate? Wendy's muted, I think.
yeah, so the education committee members that have looked at the applicant,
Yeah.
Rick received, John and myself, Charlie Huppick was also part of that process, and Matt Bohr.
That's all I have to say.
Jim, we can take that under advisement.
Okay.
And see what we can come up with. I understand where you're coming from. I guess we have to be careful of setting the precedent.
Absolutely.
But if we have connections and whatnot to answer some of that need, I think it would be great if we could.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make a personal contribution.
Okay. So let's work in that direction then, and be sure that we're updated at the next meeting.
Okay.
Make sure it's on the agenda.
Okay.
So-
Anybody else have a comment?
I've got a quick question on this, and it's more, first couple months in the seat here. What do we offer in terms of scholarships for folks? As until I saw this blurb earlier, I didn't know it was something that was really done.
Well, there are two levels. We have the district awards local scholarship, and I believe it's $1,000.
Yeah, last year was the first year, I believe, that we awarded it.
And that money is provided through our investment in the Augusta County Foundation, Community Foundation, and up until recently, it's been a good year for the investment. I don't know what it is currently with the market bouncing all over the place, but the stipulation is if we can afford it based on our investments, then provide $1,000 scholarship. The next level is that's passed on to the state for consideration against other nominees in the state, and I'm not sure what that dollar amount might be.
That is, they award four $1,000 scholarships.
Or 1,000. So potentially any given candidate from Augusta or from Headwaters could get a $2,000 scholarship assist if they were successful at both levels.
Except until recently, we haven't had much success at the state level.
Right. Well, it's a larger pool too.
Yeah.
I mean, we had three applicants, and frankly, in my experience with the scholarship committee, they're all extremely well qualified. Sometimes it's just a matter of a couple of points on a score versus quality and character of the applicant. They're all accomplished, otherwise they wouldn't be candidates and they wouldn't have been nominated. But sometimes it's really close. Other times there are clear winners. So it's an interesting process. If you're interested, I would encourage you to participate. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion?
All right, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that forward, Jim.
Concludes my report.
Is that all you need in education?
Yes, sir.
All right. We ready to move on? Ag and cost share, Bobby.
Rachel, can you get the approvals up or?
Yes, this is
There we go.
the sheet. All the names have been redacted. The practice code is listed, contract number, and the VAX cost share tax credit amount, similar to the sheets that are always posted, except that first column is listed. If you need clarification on the practice code, staff can help with that.
All right.
Thank you for enlarging that.
We'll just start at the top, and I'll make the motion that will approve the practices as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, again, roll call, yes or no when I call your name. Otis?
Yes.
Darren?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Wendy? Matt? And Buzz?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you
Wendy
still
and
have
Matt,
a quorum at this point? I think there were a few that were missing.
I know
Yeah,
Matt left
Wendy
at
and Matt.
11.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Matt left at 11 o'clock.
Okay. Well, we still have a quorum, although is Wendy not chiming in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Oops.
Okay. Motion is approved. Next.
Next are the appeals. There's 5 of those listed, some additional acreage for some cover crops and some other things. I'll make the motion that we appeal those 5 appeals.
Second.
There's second. Okay, ready to roll call. Otis,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
and Buzz.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Next up is a conservation plan that was written that needs approval, and I'll make that motion that we approve that.
Second.
Okay, again, roll call. Otis,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yep.
Wendy,
Yes.
and Buzz.
Yes.
All right, carries.
Next up, a few nutrient management plans. I make that a motion that we approve those nutrient management plans.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Otis,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
and Buzz.
Yes.
Approved. Next.
Last is the tax credit certificate. One of those, I make the motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call. Otis,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
and Buzz.
Yes.
Okay, carried.
All right, thank you. Next up on the agenda is the NIFWIF grant. Josh, do you want to speak on that? Or John?
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wrote a grant under the direction of Ann Jennings at the Department of Natural Heritage or Natural Resources for Virginia. The Augusta County Correctional Center has about 5 miles of streams that are unfenced with about 300 cattle. It's a large collaboration. We asked for about $240,000 to get some fencing and water systems for the prison property.
Did you get cut off or was that all you had to say, Josh?
That's all I have.
Okay. It's been submitted. And when can we expect to hear something, Josh?
I really don't know. It'd probably be a month, I guess.
Okay. What was the amount of the grant?
$238,024.
All right. If anybody's been out to the prison, you kind of get a view of it from the front row, but if you go in the back entrance, you will see there is a lot of need. And I'm tickled that this is being addressed and look forward to the grant money and putting Josh to work.
Yeah, I agree. I hope it gets funded.
Any other questions on the grant? All right, next on the agenda is the Ag and Cost Share Committee meeting. I guess we're going to try an electronic meeting. And Aaron, do we need to plan a date today, or do you want to talk to me in the office tomorrow?
No, we can just talk about it because I'm going to be in there tomorrow anyway.
All right, we'll plan for that tomorrow and send it out an email to the cost share committee, and hope everybody can join us.
All right.
Very good. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you, staff. Let's move on to other business. We have one more extension to that list that was approved earlier, and that is Wendy for the reopening plan for the office is slated as the head or tail, whichever one you want to say.
The tail.
Okay. The buck stops with her, so we'll go with that. Now, one thing I wanted to add is a PIP review is supposed to be done at each meeting. Is that correct, Kathy?
I believe so. I know it's
Okay.
once a month, yes.
Okay. Is there any kind of update we could hear? I don't think we need to approve anything. It's just we are supposed to say we understand we're submitting what needs to be submitted to stay on track.
I think this next one will be good because, as Mark said, we've obligated 95% of the cost share, VAX cost share right now.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anyone that's on the Zoom meeting we're having? Are we ready to call it a morning?
One thing, Rick, if you can hear me, this is Mark.
Hi, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, my written report at the very bottom, there's reference to the association's board meeting as being 24th, 25th. Some communications from Kendall Tyreek went out yesterday. They are going to merely have a conference call on the 25th of June, 10 o'clock start.
Okay.
And the state board meeting will most likely be an electronic meeting on June 3rd. It's not set in stone, but I just picked that up on my email a few minutes ago.
Okay, very good. All right. If no further business has come before us, call the meeting adjourned. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, y'all too.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.